Good afternoon, everyone. It's Brian Caprice from Keep Trading Simple, and welcome to this week's weekly market analysis hosted by Nadex. Um, April 20th, can't believe it. We're already at 420. It's amazing that this year is like flying by. I was just outside with my daughter a little while ago. It is definitely spring. Almost feels kind of like at least in Maryland, we got the cars are turning green with pollen. The temperature's above 70 degrees by like 10 o'clock in the morning. It almost feels like summer already. So hopefully everybody is staying safe, getting outside, and getting some good weather. Um, we'll just jump right into things today. There's actually been some pretty crazy news that got posted in, I don't know, the last hour and a half. And again, there's been some major market moves because of it. So we'll kind of explain what's happening with that and what other opportunities may be presenting themselves today, but most likely through the rest of the week. For those of you that don't know me, again, welcome. My name is Brian. You've heard my voice a few times. I've done presentations, webinars, and education seminars for Nadex for about 3 years now. Maybe it's even more than that. Time is flying by. It's been a while. So I've been around. You may have heard me, may have heard my voice. You guys know that I'm a little bit different than most other, it's funny, I would say talk show hosts, but it's kind of like almost what we are, right? It's about education, but also about entertainment, right? Um, I do things a little bit differently. I'm not a traditional based trader. I'm not a 12th generation. My dad's grandfather was not on like the original floor in New York or anything like that. I started like you guys. I'm a retail trader. I started back at really around the tech bubble. So I've been doing this for just over 20 years now. I am not a huge believer in indicators. I don't believe in like the latest and greatest craze and secret magical numbers and crystal balls and that kind of stuff. I'm a very simple, price action trader. I look to see on charts where supply and demand is. I don't believe in patterns and all those things. And I've learned them all. I've learned the ins and outs of them and how they work, and I know what traders are looking for when they're trying to trade those strategies. And most times I find myself trading against them. Reason why is because when everybody's doing the same thing, who's going against you, right? Who's giving you those trades? And I really like the contrarian way of looking at things. So if you see my chart, you'll see a lot of horizontal, kind of long, drawn out triangles, or not triangles, rectangles. For me, that's supply and demand. That's where I'm looking for buying and selling. I am an if this, then that trader. You may hear me say that today a few times. What that means basically is if X, Y, and Z happens, I'm taking the trade. If X, Y, and Z doesn't happen, guess what? I don't take it. I'm not a like I said, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not gonna like, hey, you know what? Right now, I can see the future in 5 minutes. I know exactly what's gonna happen. I'm just not that style of a trader. Um, I do believe in trading multiple asset classes. So a lot of today, I would say the main thing that I trade is probably currencies. I do love Nadex because I just love the idea of options. I learned traditional options is what I started doing about 20 years ago. And when I found Nadex, it was one of those things where I could add like another arrow to my quiver. It's like, oh, there's some great things that I can do here that, again, give me additional protection in my positions, particularly around things that I like news trading is one of the things that I absolutely love. Nadex matches up really, really good to that. Um, with that said, I promised my kids I would do it. Asher and Reese, the two boys in the picture here, they turned 11 yesterday. It's amazing. Asher, the older one, the one on the left, his hair is like down to his shoulder. He grew the full COVID cut. Reese's actually, his was long and then he cut it short again. And yeah, they turned 11 years old yesterday. I can't believe it. And then the little one there, she's in the other room with mommy's iPad, being a diva at 2.5. So it's a little bit dated picture. And then again, if you guys know, my wife is also expecting again 15 weeks on Saturday or this past Saturday. So yeah, we're gonna have to take another like family picture. It's crazy. I'll have to shave. I can't, but have my beard. You know how it works. Anyway, let's dive right into the presentation today. So before we begin, because we're talking about charts and things like that, I want to make sure that we cover this Nadex risk disclaimer. And you guys should all know this by now, but trading on Nadex involves risk and may not be appropriate for all. Members risk losing the cost end of the transaction, including fees. You should carefully consider whether trading on Nadex is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions that you make are solely your responsibility at your own risk. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results, and none of the material presented herein is to be construed as a solicitation, recommendation, or offer to buy or sell any financial instrument on Nadex or elsewhere. Now, Nadex is subject to U.S. regulatory oversight by the CFTC, and Nadex is a registered trademark of the IG Group. So here's our agenda for today. I'm actually going to grab a quick drink. I'll be taking drinks occasionally today. You guys know that I obviously coach my son's lacrosse team. 2 games over the weekend, wearing a mask. Yeah, my voice gets strained to the max. So I always gets a little bit deeper when I do these presentations often. Anyway, we're going to cover the upcoming news events. Tonight is one of my favorite news events of the week. We'll talk about what's already happened today because some of the headlines is what's really driven us crazy. And we will talk about where the kind of remaining hotspots are for the rest of the week, where you guys potentially find some nice movement. Then we'll break down the indices. Like I said, the last I looked, the Dow was just getting hammered. And again, some of the news out there doesn't necessarily surprise me. Then we'll go across and look at the Forex world, see if there's any opportunities. Tonight's trade obviously is going to be a Forex trade. You guys have heard me say that before. And then last but not least, we will cover commodities. Oil, which is also taking it on the chop today, and then gold and silver. We'll break down all of those. So with that, let's just go right across over into those. Let's see, right here is what I'm looking to do. All right, so far today, we've actually had a bit of news. We had some claimant count. We had some good GDP data, some good, it wasn't GDP. It was, hold on now, it's going to drive me nuts. It's like right there. Where is it? I lost it. It was the claimant count and the average earnings. Sorry, and the unemployment rate for the pound. I was like, I know what it was. It's like on the tip of my tongue. So we had some good data for the pound, although you're seeing the pound start to come back down again. We talked about this yesterday. There was major movement in the pound dollar, and this morning we talked about maybe getting to that kind of top position and looking forward to a little kind of rollover and fall, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But for the most part, all the big movement yesterday is more or less getting eaten up. If you remember yesterday, it was a kind of an extreme weak dollar based day, right? This was up really, really big. This was up big. This was down big, down big, down big. This was up big as well. And now we're kind of seeing the opposite. Pound dollar is down, Aussie dollar is red, dollar CAD giving us a big green. Dollar, US dollar or dollar yen is flat more or less right now. Dollar Swiss is flat, and again, there's reasons why these two kind of are getting a little bit crazy. We have seen the reversal from 3 hours ago when we talked. Euro pound was actually a little bit more on the positive side, right? It was red, right, being that positive pound. Now it's completely reversed. Now it's actually on the other side, back into the euros camp. So kind of interesting. And again, some of the headlines I'll explain in a bit are the reason why these are moving. Tonight we have 2 important readings. Now we can't actually trade anything New Zealand based with Nadex. They just haven't added those contracts. But again, what is important here is the CPI rating. CPI is basically a core gauge of inflation. Whenever we start seeing inflation jumping in one country, we tend to see it in other places as well. And it's supposed to go up higher. And again, for gold traders out there, that's why CPI is kind of one of those things you want to keep an eye on. Now, tonight's retail sales numbers. Retail sales are typically high impact news releases. And the reason why is because it's what the consumer is spending. How much are they buying? And that's a 9:30 release tonight in Australia. And it's expected to be a big increase, right? Last time it was minus 0.8. It's supposed to be a positive 0.1%. So again, showing Australia moving in the right direction, spending more money, and could provide some Australian strength. I like that, particularly with the Aussie dollar going down right now. It will drive in the levels that we're looking for buying, right? So it's kind of lining up the way that we like to see before news. But again, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Aussie retail sales tonight. When we dive into the chart, we'll see what type of opportunity and where those buys and sells could potentially be at tonight. All right. Now, going to the rest of the week. Wednesday's got a bunch of different information. We have CPI, again, that inflation gauge for the pound, which is always good. BOE Governor Bailey is speaking tomorrow morning. We have CPI for the CAD as well, and you guys can see CPI, quarter over quarter, year over year, month over month. And then at 10 o'clock, we have the BOC Monetary Policy Report. Now, I don't expect there to be any rate change. I think we're beyond. If you haven't done the rate change now, you're not going to change it. But I do think that we may get some interesting kind of context into their rate statement about what recovery looks like in Canada. Now, does Canada affect the overall indices in the United States? No, not really. But it will bounce around the dollar CAD, and it's always nice to know what recovery looks like in other places in the world. Thus far, it has been basically kind of a U.S. lead / Chinese lead right now as far as recovery. And actually, the U.K. is up there as well. Nowhere else has really recovered at the same rate. We just saw some of the headlines earlier about Tokyo locking, basically citing a state of emergency. And again, a lot of this has to do with the vaccine distribution. When you look at the amount of doses and per capita and things like that, obviously those 2 countries are leading. Again, different policies. The United States is let's get as many first seconds done as we possibly can at each level as it tiers down. The UK has shifted gears and are actually beating us now. They are very big on getting everybody the first one first and then waiting and then giving the second. And they're saying their rates are going much, much lower, and it could be a better kind of methodology on how to distribute it. The rest of the world is still, kind of far behind. They're saying it could be, 2-3 years before the rest of the world is vaccinated. It was actually a very interesting article. I was looking for the link a little while ago and I couldn't find it again, but talking about how it's interesting that there's been so much emphasis put on halting climate change, but then at the same time, when there's a vaccine that's causing a pandemic, there's not the same equal level of responsibility kind of divided out. And it is definitely something that should be investigated more. And again, part of the problem is with that is if we start to see, again, the recovery, the larger, economy-based nations, they're recovering. And again, Canada will see that. We're going to get the European Monetary Policy Statement on Thursday. Again, these are the largest countries in the world, but again, it's a global economy now. Natural resources, things like oil, lumber, they're coming from other countries out there, and there has to be a total world recovery for us to kind of get back to what normal is, right? So, everybody at this point being a global economy is affected. So again, monetary policy statement 7:45 on Thursday. That's going to give us kind of a gauge on what's happening in the European Union. They were having some issues. Germany was seeing some things. Spain was seeing like another minor outbreak. Their third wave over there has been much worse than we've seen it over here. Again, important information because again that'll drive down the European, the dollar, or I'm sorry, the euro dollar currency pair. 8:30 we have the ECB press conference followed by U.S. claims. So this could be a big day, and the euro dollar, guys, is the most traded asset in the world. So it does have quite a lot of control. And one different that you can see here too, this is a pretty good place to show it, is you can see that the overnight, the rate in Canada stayed at 0.25%. You can see that the main refinancing rate, again, names are a little bit different. They're different country to country. They're at 0. Okay. In the past, when we've seen the United States go to it and other countries have gone to it as well. When we're in trouble financially, the first go-to seems to be, drop your interest rate. As we recover, to halt inflation, we raise interest rates, and that really kind of affects the overall stock indices. Well, they're at 0. And again, one of the questions that has been posed is having an overnight rate of 0.25%. Are they going to be slower to raise interest rates than somebody like the European Union that's already at 0, right? Because they could raise at the 0.1, right? Then 0.1, 0.15, or just jump right to 0.12 or 0.25. And again, this will move currencies, it'll move stock markets, it'll hurt companies. There's a lot of stuff that it can do in here. So pretty interesting, data the way it looks. And then Friday is starting off strong with retail sales, and we have all this manufacturing, right? Flash manufacturing, flash services, all PMI all the way across the board. Starting at 315 with the euro, dropping into Germany. That's the most important one of the day for the European Union. Then the pound at 430, and then we have ours at 9:45 in the morning. So again, the monetary policy statements are good, but these readings back, these numbers are important. And again, you don't have to know, well, what does a 65 mean versus a 60? Not important. The big thing you're looking for in these numbers is whether or not it's above or below 50. Right, above 50 indicates basically industry expansion. Expansion is good, contraction not so good. So things like services here, and again, services they've been hit hard everywhere. United States, everywhere else, the service sector has been crushed. This number actually right now being forecasted lower is not great. If it goes down to 49, it means services are shrinking again in Germany. And again, you can see the French flash services are already at 46. You can see the European services overall at 49, showing that their services industry is shrinking, not getting larger. But meanwhile, again, over here we have the UK. Theirs is going up, right? Provide some trading opportunity, and ours is our manufacturing here. Our services number is not listed here, but so again, you can see the UK is a little bit ahead of the curve. So a lot of trading opportunities off of those, and like I said, you don't have to be, have a master's degree in economics to be like, oh well, where's the trade setup for manufacturing? You don't need to know any of those things. What you guys need to understand is when you're looking at these releases, and again, this is kind of going back out of news trade. It's easy to know when the times are because they're all listed right here. Whether you use this site, whether you use Daily FX, they're all listed. Okay, you know there's going to be some type of catalyst released with this number that can provide crazy amount of movement. What you need to do is get down there and analyze a chart and say, okay, I know we got retail sales coming in at this time. I know that this has the ability to move the market a lot. What does the market do? What does price action do before the news release? And then how can I, can I take advantage of that today or not? Is how you need to play this. I think another one that'll be interesting to watch is this one tomorrow afternoon. Crude oil. When you look at the crude oil chart, and I'll show you the news in a second, I think it's going to be a pretty interesting one to watch, right? Last time it was down 5.9 million barrels. This time it's forecast to be down 3.7 million barrels. Reason why, and again, I'll just show you the chart right now. We'll go over to oil. There's the oil chart, and we're just blowing through levels. I mean, we expected the break here, and it did, but dropping from 63.48 all the way down to 61.48, a $2 drop, that's a big move, right? That's even more than like a crazy a missed oil inventory report is. And you may say, hey, what's up? Well, here's what's up, okay? The U.S. House Judiciary Committee passes a bill opening OPEC to antitrust lawsuits over production cuts. Okay. It's kind of an interesting story. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can go after 7 nations and an entire group if you really, really want to. But I mean, I don't know. At the end of the day, does the U.S. really have any jurisdiction over 7 international sovereign countries out there? Not really. So, it's kind of interesting. I mean, understand, guys, OPEC's job, and again, I'm not the biggest proponent. I'm glad that OPEC has had dwindling power because I felt like it's a market that they can manipulate, and they still can. I mean, the United States can, everybody can. It's not that hard, right? It's their right to do it if they want, right? I mean, they don't have there's not like a signed law that says they have to sell us oil. No, they have supply, right? And we have the demand. That's how the markets work. Their job is to stabilize oil prices. The U.S. became, in the last couple of years, the U.S. has become an exporter. And what did we have, months ago, right? Oil went to $0. Does that seem like a stabilized market when you can't pay people to take oil, right? Those delivery contracts went to 0. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting, but obviously it's a big, they're like, oh yeah, that's it. Sue them over it. And this is great. I mean, I don't know, with everything going on right now with, the Chinese emphasis to remove the US dollar as the international currency, Russia being emboldened, does this really kind of help the situation? I mean, China's already buying up every possible, oil company, everything over there that they can possibly get their hands on, knowing that, it's vital for an economy. And, we're kind of doing the exact opposite. We are pushing them completely away. So I don't know. We'll see. It's an interesting kind of play. And again, that's why we're getting major market movement right now. Yeah, kind of strange. Anyway, besides that, that's the news for the week. And as I said, you can see there's not all the currencies are kind of retracing. So let's go back in and let's start with the indices. So we had some setups from last week. And again, I try not to change the charts around too much. So those of you that are following every day can kind of see where we're following. We had called for shorts in this position, and we ended up getting full profit targets out of this one. Kind of dropped down. We talked about a break, and remember, one of the things that we talk about a lot of times is that Harry Potter trade, right? Coming back to levels. And we had talked about this not being able to hold, right? Because we had a touch here, touch here, touch here, and again, we just blew right through it. And we were looking for a little bit, calmer, and we did. We got it, But here's one important area, and again, we had the black line there because we were waiting for that one. Whoops, go down to the black line. It always helps there. Let's make sure this side is in the right spot, right there. Oops. Okay. Here was this morning, and again, we'll remove this. This is from yesterday's dialogue. Down. All right. As you can see right here around 10 o'clock this morning, we had a little bit of a pull up, and again, we in the YM chart, you'll see we took a nice little bounce up again. Here's that exact play. There was a prior area of basing, right? We talked about it. It punched through, it kind of based through, and what did it touch? That same level, right? So overall, we had mentioned earlier today, we expected extreme negativity. We got the extreme negativity. Talking about, being able to throw antitrust lawsuits against OPEC. I mean, sure, that's also not something great for the economy as well. And we've seen it, we've seen more of a drop. Question is, do we go long, right? I don't know that we're quite at that level yet. I mean, we have a level here that was tested as well, right? It's a nice little level. It's on a 30-minute chart. You can see that we had one big spike into it and it turned it around. It's a level sitting down here. Whoops, not that one. Around 4,100, right? Again, big psychological number. This one comes in at 4102. So basically 4100, the round number it kind of gets sucked into. But the question is, again, this is a very, very, again, very fast push in a very short period of time. Those are typically reversal opportunities. The thing that makes this one hard to be able to say, hey, you should go long now. One, it's 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Two, it was kind of in an area where we turned around. It went a little bit lower. But three, it's kind of a little bit of a murky area. So we're kind of like looking down here saying, yeah, that's probably a bit better of an area to go to. Dropping to a 15-minute chart, you can see that right now we really don't even have kind of the ideal kind of bottom candle in this one. Right now, I would expect the market to continue to go higher. The reason why is everybody that got short from earlier today, they're taking their profit, right? It's lunchtime. They're like, hey, I made a lot of money, right? This quick, I got to get out, right? That's what they're saying. That's what happens. After large movements in price like this, you got to capture your profit, right? Because again, you would expect to retrace back up again. So right now, I would say there's not a whole lot left in this one. As far as areas that we can use tomorrow, again, this one hit. I will draw a new level on here and say, hey, listen, here's kind of the next area. I know that this one is a bit lower, and that may be a risk that we take. But what I'm looking for is an area right here. This drop, this kind of sideways movement with kind of the call it like a sawtooth kind of pattern. You could almost draw a triangle with the wicks in there. And then a very, very strong push out. And that occurred at about 5 o'clock this morning. I think that's a decent level that we should watch out for, that if we can rally back up, we could get a potential short from that level here. I'll change it to that. As far as kind of places to buy, I guess 4,100 would be something to watch out for. I don't know if we'll test it today. Like I said, we need some more. I mean, we only got like 4 hours left to go. We need some pretty bad kind of headlines to really kind of turn and continue this down. I would expect somewhat of a kind of a retracement back up again. And again, there may be some profit taking on the top side at this 4140 level. Right now, I would be looking for this 4153. Actually, let's see. I'll see if I can find it exactly here. Right here. I'm wondering if this is what we're looking at. Okay. And the reason I say that, you may say, wait, why did you go over here? This is the European Open. I'm wondering if we are able to kind of grind our way back again up. And then when the European market opens, again, with any type of negativity, because like I said, there will be a response back with the OPEC situation. They will respond. I mean, their markets are obviously closed right now. They will respond. And if we can get that in the middle of the night, that could also lead us back to the downside. Okay. So yeah, that'll be yes. NQ. Okay, NQ. There's a bunch of different things in here. We were calling for a short. It drove right to the profit target. Never gave us a pullback. That was like off to the races. Yesterday morning, we kind of drew this kind of intraday curve level, and you can see it did breach the other side just by a little bit, and then ended up rallying back up again. So we went from high kind of to low again. I would say I'd be looking for buying opportunities here. We had this profit target. We had mentioned it that we had touched here, touched here, touched here, touched here. We didn't have a whole lot of it's not green because we didn't expect it to hit. It was a profit target to the downside. And as you can see, we went just a bit lower over here. So didn't really get an entry, but obviously the profit target is done at this point. There's nothing we can do with it. Right now, let's see if I go up to 30-minute. Yeah, we're using that, but I don't like the way that it kind of came back up again. I would say right now, I mean, there's probably a potential short sitting right here, right up here at 13,920. Again, nice movement off. It was a 930 open release, just literally got hammered straight to the downside. I wish we had a better candle here. I'd love to give you a long on this one, but I just don't really. I guess probably here is the best opportunity. And you can see, based off of this candle here, right there, and you can see exactly what we ran into. So let's actually adjust this down. We'll bring it down to here. Yeah, it's fine. We'll do it off that level, and we'll go from there. So yeah, at this point, we could probably remove this. We didn't get the entry that we wanted. It drove all the way to profit. I'll change this one back into the green again, and we'll drop this down here for you guys. There you go. So yeah, so use that kind of as our top and bottom. Now, way we can play this one, it is 12:30 in the afternoon, not necessarily the best time to start trading this one. But we can start and look at the end of the day. When Nadex reprints their contracts, depending on if we're high or low, that could give us an acceptable level of risk to be able to take shorts or long off either of those two levels. But right now, I figure it's probably going to be dead for about, I don't know, another hour and a half, 2 hours. We'll maybe get some movement. And right now, in its low volume time frame, it's kind of it's the profit taking. It's going back up again. For it to come back down, it would have to drop about 80 more points. It's a pretty negative day. It'd be a pretty negative afternoon. And again, a lot of times we see kind of that, almost kind of like that end of day rally type situation. I think today we'll probably get something similar, unless there's really bad news. But look for 31. Actually, let me choose this way so you guys can see it. Sorry, 13,921 up top, 13,722 at the bottom, and look for those two to again bounce up, bounce down, and either of those two works. YM. So YM, we were also looking for a short. We called it this morning. We mentioned that this zone here, the 33,772, was probably not going to hold. It already tested here, pushed deep into the level. And here, I'll drop it down to 15-minute. You can see that this one just kind of pushed through. It stalled. It never gave us the pullback, and then it just hammered straight down. So, if you're waiting for the conservative entry, this is kind of the, every trading strategy out there has kind of pros and cons to it. The strategy I laid out earlier today calls for the pullback. It gives you somewhat of a confirmation to get into a trade, right? This one, again, if you took the more conservative route, you probably wouldn't have got an entry, and all it did was continue to drive lower. Had you taken the aggressive entry, right? This case, the aggressive entry was the winner. It ended up dropping, about 150 points to the downside in like 2 hours. So again, big movement. A way that you can kind of use Nadex to get around having to have a confirmation. And again, I talk about confirmations for people that are trading outside of Nadex. You could always basically just use a binary, in which case, when it goes there, when it's breaking through, use something a little bit farther out of the money, so it's a little bit lower entry. And again, if it does go against you, you have to have a stop loss on anything. It kind of helps out a little bit more. You're not going to use an at the money for this one. It's too much risk versus the reward. But again, you could have taken it as it left the area, had a small risk, with an out of money contract. And again, a lot of movement, very, very fast on that one. So right now it is turning. The zone that it's turning in it's kind of messy. So it's not something that I would say, hey, listen, you need to get long on. I would say that this is an area right here that there is a potential for buyers to step in. And it's a little bit earlier than kind of what we have marked, but I'd watch out for this one right here. I'll change it to orange. You guys can see it. This 33,569. This is the level that the last time that we touched it, we had a huge, huge 2-candle kind of burst off of it. You got to expect that there's still some buyers there based off of that. So right now, I would say, could we take this one as another short? Yeah, potentially, because we didn't actually get the pullback on it. So we could get it again, and that would be a touch of 33,753, right? But at this point, the morning trade that we had discussed, it's already gone basically double. I mean, it went down to a 7-to-1, right? So quite a large move. We were calling for a move down to here, and it blew that in the first candle. So that happens sometimes, like it was overly negative today. So hopefully somebody was able to take advantage of that. But right now, as far as the next areas I'd watch out for, here was that Harry Potter. Again, the 4 touches, I mentioned this morning, 1, 2, 3. Number 4 is what broke, pulled back up, grabbed this one. So there was a short from here early morning, although that was pretty early morning. And then we never really got another entry into it. It just was straight down. So, oh well, not much to say else on that one. Right now, like I said, watch out for 33,570. Depending on the time we hit this one, there may be another short later on the day. If not, wait for this one to rally much higher for another short. All right. Let's go over the currencies. There's a bit of movement over there. So right now, we've been looking to get short this position. We had this level here that we talked about. We went through the top. We based through it again. Here was your entry. And again, I'll move it across. There was your Harry Potter break, right? We came in, we stabilized, we dropped, we pulled back, we hit down, we hit it again. So if you missed it on the first one, you got an opportunity here to take it at 10.15. And it collapsed down, and right there was where we talked about being your profit, right? 77.40, and it went a little bit lower, went to 77.30. So I missed it by 10 pips, but I'll say this. You always want your profit target ahead of where you expect it to turn. So is having the profit target set here before it turned a better idea than having your profit target here and having it turn up top? See what I'm saying? So yeah, I could have wrote it for another 10 pips, but it went well beyond, and the risk to reward ratio was there. Right now, I think what we need to do is we need to wait for it to stabilize itself a little bit and kind of come lower. Um, I would say this is a decent kind of touch. It's the second touch. It went pretty deep, so I wouldn't say that this is like an A plus. Hey, I love this one, but it is a level that I'm looking for this evening, and here's why. So as you can see, the news comes out right here tonight. If this is able to push down, and again, I love these trades. If we're able to push down, now I can't give you the contracts now. Well, that's not true. Let me see. Maybe there's a knockout in there real quick. But typically what I like to do for these nighttime trades is wait till that 6 o'clock window when the contracts reprint, see where the call spreads are, see where the binaries are, and you're able to jump in here and be able to trade this one. Let me see where the knockouts are. I don't think this would break any knockouts to the downside or the upside. 77.12. Nah, there's nothing even close. So we would need some things to break. Actually, none of them would break to the downside. So yeah, we're not. Well, maybe. No. Wow. The first one is 76.82, which is all the way down here. Yeah, so it won't be a knockout based trade. So this would be one of those call spread / binary trades tonight. And again, what we're looking for is a little bit more dollar strength to kick in Australian weakness. Watch this come down, and then we're looking for tonight's retail sales number to be better than 1% for Australian strength, which again, it's already expected to be good. If it's better than expected, comes in at 1.6, 1.4. That should give us a nice little bounce off this news trade later today. Okay, so again, that's one way. That's one thing I'm looking for. Besides that news-based trade, there's a bunch in here. I'm not worried about that. This level I would be watching out for. I'm not worried about that one anymore either. There is two different short areas that I'd be looking for. One here, one a little bit lower down here at 76.77. Or, I'm sorry, 76.73. Only because again we're in the pink area. We're in the area where we are more bearish biased. Again, here was that kind of touch and break, and it did. That one broke as well. So we'll pull these profit targets and everything else out. Yeah, that's the only one I'm looking at right now. Touchdown. Let's see, how far is that? 25. 30. Yeah, I would just hold that one. And vice versa, if we rally up, we could also potentially take one off of here. But right now, my two favorites on this one would be this level here, which would be more of a buy, and this would be more of a sell up top. I would use this as kind of my, this was kind of what I'd use for my like curve area, my smaller, here, I'll just do it this way. I'd use this more as my intraday kind of curve level, right? Bearish thinking, kind of neutral, bullish thinking, right? All right, Aussie yen. So Aussie yen had a level that we talked about down south, and again, this is just an enormous move. Watching this one candle, I mean, that's a 55 pip single candle. The ATR, even with the pop, is only 11 pips. So this one candle, right? The one candle here at 10:30 this morning, that was 5 times what the ATR is for this time frame, right? So again, huge move. Now this one we had talked about some levels. Now here's what this is one that was a little bit trickier to play. We talked about finding a way to get short at 84.36, 84.44 level. Now it based below. When it bases like this right before a level, you kind of expect the level to break. Now it did go higher. It unfortunately didn't give us that pullback in. But even if you had been here, right? Remember, this is midnight, right? This is where we were yesterday, and we talked about coming up and going short. In one day, we're already much lower. So again, that's why sometimes these binaries, again, if you're taking weeklies or even call spreads, if you're able to maintain it, having them run over multiple days tends to be pretty nice. Okay, remember, with a Nadex contract, right, the most you can lose is the cost to enter the transaction. If it goes against you big, you can only lose what you put in, right? It gives you the opportunity to be right as it continues to collapse later. So we were calling for shorts. It ended up being, it's much shorter than it is now. You just had to make sure that you use the right asset. Now, had you traded in a knockout, again, depending on which knockout you used, most likely you would have gotten stopped out if you'd done something. And there was one that was very close in here that we really didn't like. The next one was pretty high, and I think it may have gotten stopped, but I think it was at the 84.60 level. But as you can see where we are now, I would expect this to come lower. I wouldn't really be looking for buys. I'm not going to use that level. That's an old one. Let's see if I can get you a good one here. We use that? No. That one's a little bit too high. I think this is going to be too far away. It is. I'm trying to see if I'd like to find something in this level here. Maybe this is okay. How big is that? It's 13. That's fine. Oops. All right, right there. And this kind of the same thing. So, right, you guys remember what I said about the Aussie dollar? Looking for the Aussie to weaken, more coming into this level tonight, right? The same thing that I'm looking for here. And again, this would be green, so we don't confuse people. Same thing here. We need to drop a bit more, come back down here to 83.17. If we can get there before news, which it's about 50, so it's going to need some help on that one. But if we can drive down there tonight, we got 9 hours to go. Could be a long opportunity, right? All right, pound. Pound yen has been pretty ugly. So you guys can see here. This one has been grinding back up again. And we talked about a level here yesterday, bouncing off this 86.20. And it did hit it. It got to about 1.5, almost 2 to 1 before it kind of started to reverse. So it was more or less a break-even trade. Since that time, it's done nothing but pop up and down, pop up and down, pop up and down. Little spike this morning and literally ran right back. So I wouldn't say that this one is kind of chock full of goodness right now. And I'm just going to remove that level. Like I said, if you got into that, you most likely got stopped out of break even. Maybe it captured a few on it. But right now, we're kind of wedged in. I would still say that 86, 84 is a decent level up top. I would say that 85, 86 to the downside is also a decent level down below. One area that I would watch out for if we can get it up there, I think this is a decent level that we could also take a short off of, just because it's been a while since we've been there, right? That 86.50 level is going to be a psychological level. Look for this to kind of turn and kind of bounce off. It ran into this level and turned. And again, I'm not overly impressed with the way it's grinding higher. I feel like there's buyers in there, but I wouldn't say there's anything earth-shattering. And kind of some of the news events that play into this one right now would be tomorrow morning, the pound CPI would be in there. Bailey could make some comments that really could set this off. And again, if it does nothing but just grind, right? If we just continue, let's see how much is it to the top side. Now, it's only about 30 pips, but you can see here, I mean, in the last, well, I'll just do this one. In the last 24 hours, it's moved 21 pips, right? Right here, you guys see it? It's moved 21 pips. If we say that this goes up 21 pips, we're right into that level, right? With some of these news releases tomorrow, it absolutely can move it. And if not, we have the monetary policy statement the day after. So there's a couple different things in play for this one, but I would keep those on your radar. 86.85, right? 86.50, again, psychological level, and 85.86 to the downside would be an area where it's been tested once and it got front run, so it'd be a level that I'd be looking for, potential hit here and bounce higher. Okay, Euro yen. Euro yen had the same thing. We were looking for shorts in there. We talked about aggressive, not aggressive. It hit it once and went to like 2 to 1, and then started kind of chopping back. You're like, oh, it's going to break. It went higher, and you can see that we had an entry up here at 130.99, like the 131 mark. It missed it by just a little bit and ended up doing the zigzag effect, and then just got hammered to the downside. So we mentioned looking for a reversal. This is a faster reversal than, from the European Open, which is here, to now. That's 90 pips. Okay. You may say, well, what does that mean in the reality of things? Well, a typical ATR on this one is about 68, 70. It's a lot of movement in only half of a day. Okay, a lot of movement in half of a day. So, at this point, I would assume that it would find some stabilization. Obviously, the yen is having some major problems. For those of you that don't know, it was over here, right here. This is kind of a big deal. Obviously, hurt in the yen when Tokyo has decided that they're going to seek a virus state of emergency. Like I said, third wave has not been kind to people, and the third wave has been. I don't know if you guys remember when we originally started talking about COVID-19 and everything that COVID-19 and all the concerns, and we knew there was going to be wave 1, and that's like, oh, but what is wave 2 going to look like? And there would be a wave 3, and all of us just kind of excuse wave 3. It's like, yeah, whatever. I mean, 2 is going to be the bad one because more people have it and stuff like that. Where 3 is becoming the most troublesome because again, we're seeing that these the mutations, the variants are the ones that are causing more problems. Wave 3 is all about the variants, right? And again, we don't know. We don't really have a lot of data on the. And again, the data we do have shows that the vaccinations work, but don't work quite as well with the new mutations. And again, Wave 3 in other places is a little bit scary as well because, like I said, from the beginning, just the nature of a virus, we're one mutation from none of the vaccines working, and then we're back to square one. So, we'll see how this one goes, but obviously this one hasn't helped. Where I would go long and look for reversals, the two levels that we've had on here, and they've been here for about a week now, the 29.58, the 29.27 are two decent levels. There's a level here, and some of you may look at it and say, oh, but wait, how you normally draw, Brian, there's a level right here. There is, but I wouldn't say that it's not tested. I don't necessarily like how the formation is drawn. I would have preferred if the red candle was the lower one, not the green. That tells us a lot about this candle. Is it a potential target you could use? Yeah, sure, you could. I mean, you could say that, hey, listen, it's been tested to this level. Actually, I'll just turn this one yellow. There you go. You could say, well, it's kind of tested here, kind of tested here. Yeah, I would say that's, that's fair, right? Fair. If you want to continue playing this one down, it's got a little bit more to go, right? It's got about 27.30 to the downside to go. It's probably decent. It's not bad. Until we hear some more news out of the Japan, I think this one is probably decent to the downside. Ideally, if we can get to this level though at the European session, I think it'd be decent, right? If we can get down there, and particularly for kind of up in here. I think there's actually where's the week news tomorrow? No, not the bond auction. I thought it was the German data, but yeah, it's probably worth a little bit. But yeah, I would say short over in the overnight on this one. Now, euro dollar, you can see, is sitting at a cliff. We were looking for areas to get short, and again, we had a touch and kind of came through and then kind of based again and kind of has dropped back and forth again. So we're in an area with, we mentioned this one yesterday because it had rallied and gone so crazy. It's like, listen, we know we're in a level. Let's figure out a way to get short. We got to find a way to get short. We got to get the right entry for it. And there was kind of a small one here, but I wouldn't say it's the ideal situation. What we're really looking for is a break it's kind of in here, right around this 120.20 mark. And what we're really looking to do is to be able to capture kind of this area right here, back down to the 119.60 level. It's about 60 pips to the downside. I don't know if we're going to be able to have enough movement today, and it's going to require a little bit more, dollar strength. There was an article earlier talking about how the Feds may move their target a bit for interest rates. Again, that will bring dollar strength in. But a lot of everything we've seen today, there's the chopping sideways and kind of going back and forth, is really grinding through all the buyers that helped really propel the euro yesterday. Not so much, I guess, propel the euro, but really just crush the dollar yesterday. Again, the last 6-7 months, we've seen a strong trend on Monday with the dollar and then tends to reverse. Here was that strong trend up, and really Tuesday morning around the European Open. The European Open was right here. Oops, how do I turn this one? Right there. Right, 3 o'clock, right there. There's your European Open. Okay, so again, for those of you that have been with us, I'll talk about the most common reversal times. Session open, and then 10:30, right? Tend to be the biggest reversal times. Here's from basically straight down in the European session. So look for a break of this one. I would say if you guys are looking for something short, depending on the contract strikes, if you get a break of this 2020 over here, look to take this down to 119.60. Pound yen, we talked about this earlier. Here's the European Open. Talk about a reversal of fortunes. We came up, we actually pulled back down again from that level. This was over 2 to 1. Kind of just basing the level, and then once we started basing, you had to open up for a Harry Potter. We talked about it. Base, pulled back, grabbed the level, went all the way up again. European session, reversal, continued to drop. Based in the level, you're like, yep, it's breaking, and we did break, and we went back lower. So right now, I would say, you kind of got to keep the same idea, right? There's two levels here of buyers. It may stabilize at this point. I think this 149.95 is a decent area. Obviously, we have to keep this level up here on our radar as well. The 151.93, I think both of these are decent tops and bottoms. We're kind of if I drew kind of an intraday curve level, right, and put it here with them at the extreme, you can see we're kind of basing through the middle. So, there's probably a small trade set up. I mean, if we're sitting here for the European Open tomorrow, right? We do have this one, the pound CPI. Hold on, let me make this a little easier. We have this pound CPI and Bailey speaking tomorrow. If this is able to rally back up in that time and grind its way forward, could there be a short opportunity from 151.15? Yeah, there could be. Ideally, though, you want it to be extreme range, top or bottom. I think either of those two is decent for tomorrow's news. Pound dollar. So pound dollar, we mentioned earlier, not really interested in taking a long off of this one. It did. It kind of skirted across the top and then started at the base right now. What we were really looking to do is figure out a way to get short this position and run it down to the 138.55. As you can see, it came down. It made its best effort. This little tiny, there's a little zone right there. And that's what it gave its hiccup off of. Couple ways to play it. Again, if you could time it with a call spread. Let me see. Is there a knockout? 139. No, the knockout's unfortunately a bit high. Let me see. Call spreads on this one. Call spread. 139. And there's a 139.64, so a little bit deep in it now. Yeah, it's a bit too much of a risk. Yeah, it would have been better to grab it when it was up over in here to take this one short. Where's the next closest one? 38.39. It's all the way down here. Yeah, so the weekly call spreads don't work on this one. Yeah, so what I would do is I would wait to see where the call spreads, the daily call spreads, pop at 5 or at 6 o'clock when they reprint. If we can get something close to a ceiling here, this could be one that may not necessarily be a bad one to run tomorrow. And again, make sure you set a profit target on there to take it down at 138.55. Kind of an overnight based trade, but I would say it's again, unless we have a major change in the next hour, this one will probably continue to grind down as we see reversal of the pound's fortunes. Now, dollar CAD. So dollar CAD's had some power. So dollar CAD came all the way down and snagged this lower level. Again, we talked about it bouncing off this level a few times. It actually hit it again and again. This is the European Open right here. Right there. Right there. Actually, I lied. It's right there. I missed it by one candle. It was the red candle that pushed down and then probably open, came lower, and took off. So there's the European session power. We were looking for profit targets up here around the 125.56 level. And again, we just blew through it. I mean, here's that 10:30. Here's the 9:30 open. From here to here is the 9:30 open. This one has just been crazy. I mean, this is 81 pips. That's a big move in 3 hours. So, right now, where does this stop? I mean, looking to the left, I would say, at a minimum, we're not stopping, probably until this level up top, right? 126.19. We do have a little bit of a level above right here. Again, it's a little bit of a tested level at 129. Actually, I'll just bring this across right there. I think that's an important level for us to watch out for as well. Now, we do have Canadian news tomorrow, right? We have the BOC monetary policy and the overnight rate. All these things at 10 o'clock tomorrow. What I would say, the best way, that I would say to play this one is see if we can continue to ride out this dollar strength for the day, because it will retrace too. This is a parabolic move. It will retrace. If we can push ourselves up into here, say in the overnight, we can kind of slowly grind up and we don't go crazy and we're maintaining somewhere in this level up top, this could be a decent opportunity, because if they report, again, recovery is looking great, the economy looks good, if they put any type of statement out there about when they could potentially raise interest rates, I know they are accelerating with vaccines. My in-laws live up there, and they both just got their first vaccines this week. They didn't originally think they were going to get them till fall. They ended up getting a lot more doses, and they're rolling out faster. So all these things that they could mention being a positive factor for Canadian economy will bring Canadian strength in. And again, after a day like this with the dollar, that would be the profit taking, the retracement, a lot of different opportunities. So 126.20, 126.40, I think, are both, decent levels to watch out for there. Dollar Swiss. So we marked a level down here at 91.47. We talked about another level here, and if I extend it across, you can see it's tagged this level a few different times in here. And it's an okay mover. I mean, it's moved. I mean, it's 30 pips total, so it's hit it a few times and provided payouts. I would be cautious with this one, right? You're not seeing a crazy bit of dollar movement in this one, and it's a little bit more tempered than some of the other pairs. And the reason why is because the Swiss is receiving some strength right now. For those of you that don't know, like Todd brought up to me this morning, I wasn't paying attention. The whole thing with the Ukrainian border with Russia bringing like 100,000 troops to it and stuff. That's one of those geopolitical events that gets the the goosebumps going, and that tends to be when the Swiss receive strength. So right now, this is a dollar strength versus a Swiss strength kind of battle right now, back and forth. Typically, it's harder to gauge who's going to win a strength versus strength type battle, right? I will say, unless this situation kind of completely resolves itself, the Swiss will probably maintain its strength a little bit better than the dollar. Like I said, if we get a dollar kind of reversal here, this has the ability to grab this level and then actually fall even further. And again, the reason why is, you could arguably say that there was a touch there, but even if we don't use that one, we could say that, here's one. You could say that, oops, how do I grab it? There's two. You could say that there's potentially three, right? And that's if we didn't use this one over here. So it's a level, I know it's inside of the green, it's just approaching it, but it's hit the level so many times at this point off the refined zone. I would say we almost have to look for some type of some type of a short going below, something along these lines, if we can get down there again. And again, what would that be? That would be Swiss strength going to the downside, and that'd be a reversal of the dollar's fortunes. Now, this one has kind of been kind of funky to play, right? Dollar yen. So the dollar yen right now has moved 5 pips in 24 hours. Does that mean it was a bad currency, right? Oh, look, here you go. U.S. recovery seems to be improving. So every time the pal speaks, it gives us something completely different. We've hit this level so many different times right now. I would assume that it's getting ready to fail. Again, the 1, 2, 3, we've pushed it deep in there. It's kind of how we have to deal with it. It did have decent movement up. I mean, from yesterday, it went up about 50 pips and then fell 50 pips in the overnight. I guess it was a European, kind of an overnight up, European session retrace, and then it equals 5 pips total. So it's kind of it's been something to trade, but something hard to hold on to for longer than 24 hours because it's not giving us a lot of movement. The reason why we didn't have a short set up here is because when we look back, we know that we have an area sitting right here with a bunch of buyers coming in. Okay, so it's kind of wedged in right now, and that's what's going to make this one a little bit harder to trade. I would say if we can get back up in this 108.50 range again, I mean, there's zones in here. There's a little hiccup here. I mean, this has provided some selling at this point, and it's starting to get front run and kind of creating this, lower and lower peaks, right? One here, one lower, and then decent movement off. So, I mean, if we are looking for something and we have some U.S. news coming up, and if we're up at that 108.50 range, I'd say it could be worth one more short out of there. One more short. I would love to be able to take a short lower, but with the area buyers there, I think it's going to be a little bit risky. I think there's better opportunity, on the charts we've looked at. All right, let's jump down, or let me see, scroll up here. Let's look at oil. So oil, yeah, oil having a rough time, right? We had mentioned this one earlier. Again, it's on a 30-minute, it could be on an hourly. We talked about 1, 2, 3 hits there that wait for this level to break. If I do it again, you can say that, hey, look, we got another one, and it didn't trigger, but again, it was if this, then that. We're waiting for the break of 62.50. As you can see, this thing just went right through this with, again, warm knife through butter, straight to the downside, has come back up and tested that level. And with everything we're seeing, I would have to say that, you got to kind of keep this one on your radar for it to go south. We mentioned this being an area down here where we're looking for potential buying. We mentioned that it was going to take a big move, right? There was this parabolic move up. We mentioned it was going to be a while, right? But after today's movement, we're within basically what, $1? What are we in here? $1.33 of that go to the downside, right? I mean, if we can stay super negative in the next 12 hours and drive this down, could we be looking for a European session bounce with oil inventory expected to be, again, another negative number? It's possible, right? Remember, we're still getting the linger effects of spring break. So we have recovery, we have spring break. If this comes in a little bit higher, again, maybe it comes back in at a 5 or a 6. Maybe it pops. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe this shows a surplus. But I've been watching this for a European session, which kicks in right there. So I'm curious if this is going to be the play tomorrow from that level. Right? All right, so there's your levels. Now the 6250, it's already touched and pushed down. If you're already short, you're up 1-to-1. Again, this would be a free trade. There's nothing left in that one. Levels that you can use. I mean, I could extend this one across. You can see that level, look, it engulfed the piece here, and then that's what the test level was. So I would say if for some reason we have a big rally back up, I think 6370 is a decent short. 6093 on the downside, I think, is also a decent level. Right now, either of those two are the ones I was using if you already catch the push through. Gold. So yeah, this is gold. Gold's not really sure what to do. I mean, we talk about how there was the entry here. It hasn't hit it again. And look at this. This is just dead. I mean, this is, I would love this. Like, this is, let's see, this is 9 o'clock this is 9 o'clock in the morning, flat. And then this is, late night. So I wouldn't say gold is trending higher or lower. We had called the Harry Potter. I can delete it now because we've already discussed it once before. Not much we can do with this one, right? I mean, what is gold doing? Is it trending? No, not really. I mean, we got a nice little sell up here. If we can get to 1814, let me see. Let me bring this up to a level and see if we can potentially pull something from there. Curious where that's at. Here's a little level there. Drop this to 30. A little bit. Sometimes I don't delete old things off. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's what it bounced off of. Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking for something aggressive in gold, it's probably something sitting right there. And again, with the CPI for New Zealand tonight, pound tomorrow, there's probably a short in here somewhere. But right now, I mean, gold is pretty ugly. I mean, it's a lot of wicks, not really much. So I would say if I had to pick a range, and again, we were at the European start, the European Open. I think you can probably look at either of these levels and say, hey, listen, is there opportunity? Right? I think either of those two can provide some opportunity. Okay. Last but not least, silver. So look at this. Silver it's the same thing. Silver's only moved 0.16 in 24 hours. So yeah, we've talked about being sucked in, and we had two decent levels, the 26.20. Again, we touched that one yesterday, right? Yesterday at the open is where we snagged that one down. And again, when we talked yesterday at 9 o'clock, we're at the exact same spot, right? Here's where we were yesterday. We kind of went down a little bit. We kind of went up a little bit. We kind of went back down, and we're literally at the exact same spot. So silver's not really providing much opportunity for us here. So again, this should be this side to there. And again, this is your like that. We'll just move them across now. Right there. Okay. So yeah, pretty exciting. I mean, overall, right now, I wouldn't say there's not much. You can see that yields right now are going a little bit higher, right? We're kind of pushing back down. I wouldn't say there's anything there. Natural gas is not having the slide that oil is, right? So again, that's kind of interesting. Again, Thursday will be the inventory for this one, and again, pretty choppy, low volume. It's got to be on this one for natural gas. So yeah, there's just not a lot going on here, right? And Dogecoin, look at that, down 15%. So yeah, unfortunately, that's what we got going on. I was trying to see if there's anything in here. Yeah, base, jump. Kind of a turnaround point. It's all right. Let me see something real quick here. Yeah, it's low. That's what I was wondering. Look, dollars coming back again, and there was a couple like small gaps in this level here. Small little piece and a little bit of a gap. So I mean, it turned to the right spot. I would say right now, based off of this, it looks like the dollar wants to continue to strengthen. And again, dollar strengthening, you guys know what it's going to do. It's going to drive the Aussie down, Aussie yen, Aussie dollar, Aussie yen down. Euro dollar will continue to drive down as well. And again, we're looking for a break even lower than that. So yeah, I mean, pretty much everything right now is kind of lined up for the day. So let me see if there's any additional headlines we need to cover. Click it one more time. Just this thing here about the POW. The U.S. recovery seems to be improving. Low treasury yields attest to strong global demand for safe liquid assets. Buying bonds at a pace unrelated to magnitude of this. We don't care about it. They're unrelated to the magnitude deficit. Doesn't matter. He says he doesn't expect high inflation. Look at this. Powell says that inflation may rise. May rise a little this year. Right. We saw greater inflation before. I don't know. I feel like he's purposely keeping this low. Remember, Powell's statement regarding inflation was that they wanted to see sustained inflation for an extended, or greater than moderate inflation over an extended period of time. And now they're saying it may raise a little bit this year. So I don't know. I just feel like all the economic numbers are, Powell is looking at something different than we are. But hey, that's why he's got the big title and I don't. So. All right. So with that said, guys, make sure you mark your calendars for April 27th at 12 p.m. 2 weeks from now is when we have our special Next Education Summit. If you guys are not attending the morning sessions, please do it. It's a lot of fun. We're trying to find 1 to 2 opportunities, kind of the hot spots for the day. Those go on they're on Nadex's YouTube page. So go to YouTube, search for Nadex, click subscribe, hit the notification bell icon so you know when we go live every morning. And again, that happens from 8:45 to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gives you some trade setups, and then also gets you ready. Gives you time to get out there and get prepared for the U.S. market open. With that said, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.